Hi guys, Steph here. So I am finally doing my video on embossing. Tips, tricks, techniques, all kinds of things embossing. I was asked to do it by some people and then offered to do it for some people. So I'm going to go over everything I can think of. So it might be a longish video and I'm going to throw a lot of info at you. And then at the end, I'll also go into my craft room. I'm not going to show the whole thing, it's a mess, but I'll show you the different types of embossing powders that I have and such. So, for the basics, mainly I'm going to be working with white and black cardstock and a little bit of red, and showing you clear white, black, and gold embossing powders, and different tips, techniques, and things you can do with it. So, first I'm just going to start with my basic white. Now, first you want to, before you stamp or anything, you want to get the static off of it so that you're not having bits and pieces of embossing powder all over the place. There's 3 different types of products that you can use. One is right at home. So the first thing is this here, and this is by Inkadinkado, and it's an embossing buddy thing, and it's got the powder in here, and you just sweep it across like this, and it gets it off, all staticky. It's got like baby powder. The other one, this is actually, you can get it at Michael's as well, in the stamping aisle near the Tim Holtz stuff and all that. And this is just an anti-static cling bag, and this you just rub or pounce on there. And you're not going to see it too much on the white, but you will see it later on the black. The third thing that's right in your home that you can use, if you either don't have, can't find, or can't afford those 2 items, an unused dryer sheet will work just fine. You're just going to take a new dryer sheet, rub it really good across, and that'll get the static off for you. And then in case you do have some static, just have a dry, fine tip brush next to you in case you need to wipe any off. And I'm just going to, because I have a bunch of different powders on there now. So first I think I'm going to start with doing just a black embossing with a sentiment and then with a solid. So I just have a stamp on here that I lined up. It's a sentiment. I'm going to be using some Versamark ink. There's a lot of different glue and ink pads. I like Versamark. And I also, out of those 3, I tend to like this one. It really does the job of getting that static off of there. And then for my 4 main colors that I use, clear, white, black, and gold, I put them in little containers like this with a spoon and just label them. And then the rest you'll see later, but I'm going to use black first. And this is just to start off. I'm going to get that ready. And I'm just going to actually cut this down so it's easier to show and funnel and everything. So let me just cut this piece of paper down a little. Not straight or anything, but just make it a little bit easier. Sorry, you guys should know by now I'm always all over the place. So I'm just going to ink it up really well. Try and not get it on your block and all over the place. You just want it on your stamp. And then you're going to just stamp it down, press well, pull up, and you're not going to be able to see anything yet. And then you're just gonna, and if you don't want to put them in these little things, just do it over copy paper and then funnel it back in. And I'm gonna flick the back. You can flick nice and hard. If you feel it's too light after you flicked hard, put another round on there and just gently tap. Now, because I used all those different embossing things, there's really not too much around it. But if there was, like I see a little tiny speck here, I just take my brush and gently wipe it away. And clean up this edge here. Oop. See, I took some off that I shouldn't have. And flick. And I'm trying to work around the camera. And I see my problem. My brush has a long hair there. Well, it's better that I have boo-boos in the video than show you guys what I do with my boo-boos, right? Black is always a tough one, and I'm going to show you another way to do black that's a lot simpler. Black is messy. So, let's put this away for a minute. I'm going to heat this up, and then I'm going to show you the other way to do black, and then I'll do the other color. So I'm just using a Marvy Uchida, I don't know how to say it, the Marvy heat tool. I want to get a Milwaukee heat, but you know. I'm just going to let it heat up for a minute first, because the more the heat is on here, the more it's going to warp your paper. So just let it run, not aimed at anything, for a minute and warm up. Once it's had a minute to warm up, I just do the front until it melts. And then I hit the back real quick, and that's just to help prevent warping again. So there's that heated up. As you can see, there are a few little specks and such because black is messy. I'm going to show you another way to do this. Let me just get a baby wipe and clean off my stamp. And then, actually, the best way is, if you have like a really solid or detailed stamp, like the one I'm about to use, it's solid and it says smile, and you try and use this black embossing powder, it might be really hard to do. So I'm going to show you a way to make life easier. You're going to do your anti-static. And I'm going to bring out a pigment ink. Now I have two different ones. I have the Memento Luxe Tuxedo Black and the Brilliance Graphite Black. These are both pigment inks. They're slow drying, so it gives you lots of time. So I'm going to use the Brilliance Graphite Black and some clear embossing powder. Okay? And you don't need Versamark for this. You just need these. So I'm going to ink this up. And I have a little mess on the side there. Hold on. Okay. Stamp it down. And then use my clear embossing powder. Oh, it might help if the spoon's the right way, huh, guys? And tap it. And that way, if there's any boo-boos, it's clear. No one's going to see. So, hold on. I'm going to heat it up in a second here. Let me close this so you don't have powder everywhere. And again, let my heat tool run for a second. And hit the back. Now, it gives it that nice shiny embossed look. It might not be as brilliant black as if you did this, but it's still shiny black, and now it's perfect. You don't have stray black dots of embossed powder around it. You have a perfect embossed image. So that's a great way, is using pigment inks. And another thing too is if you have different colors, you don't have to worry about buying different color embossing powders. If you want red embossed sentiment, use a red pigment ink pad and some clear embossing powder. So the main basics you really want are something to get the static off, which you can just use a dryer sheet, Versamark ink for when you're doing white or, you know, clear, stuff like that, and then you can get pigment ink pads. And I'll do a red one real quick just to show you. Let me clean off my smile here. And open this up. Sorry, I'm hoping this isn't a super long video. Sorry guys. I just want to cover everything and really show you. So, let's do the red smile and the clear embossing powder. and then heat that up. And now it looks like you used red embossing powder when really you just used your red ink. So that's that, and then I'm also going to do white on black and gold on red, and then I'm going to show you really fun techniques you can do with clear embossing. So let's get going. If it gets too long, I'll go to a second part, but so I'm going to do white on black. Now, if you're going for a chalkboard look, use something like this and really pounce it on there, and don't bother, you know, brushing it off. You can leave it like that, or you can, you know, I'm just going to wipe it gently on there. And then also, after you've embossed it and let it cool, you can always go back and wipe it off. So I'm going to get out my white embossing powder now. And I've already put my anti-static, and I'm going to do a sentiment here. So I'm going to use the same sentiment and ink it up with my Versamark ink. And just stamp. Tap. And second coat. I always do 2 coats. Tap. And there is a tiny bit here, or that might be the powder from my static bag. It is. Just making sure. Because when you do white on black, you want it to look nice and crisp. So, fairly simple. You know, that anti-static and pressing down well and doing 2 coats and wiping off the excess really helps. Heat up a second. And hit the back real quick. And you just want to heat it up until it melts, and you'll see the difference. It gets all shiny in person. So there's that one. And then I'll do gold on red, because, you know, I can do gold on the black, right? I already have the black out and prepped. It's already got the anti-static. Just to show you one more color. And gold, I don't know, it's just when you heat it up, it just feels like magic happening. And then I'll show you the fun techniques with clear. So let's do the gold real quick. And we'll do it. And this will show you too, if you want to do several colors on one thing, heat up one color, then let it cool for a second, and then do your next color. And then you can have different colors of embossing. And it's going to be hard to see right now. But when it heats up, that's when the magic's going to happen. Okay. And there's the gold. Before I show you the clear techniques, I want to show you one other thing that I found that's really fun and cool. And it's the embossing dauber. Looks like this. I found this one at Michael's, way down on the bottom shelf in the embossing powder section. And it's got a dauber like the little paint daubers. But what's great about it is, say you want to heat emboss a wood veneer, which I don't have one next to me, but it's a pain to try and smush it on your Versamark pad. Instead, let's say I have my wood veneer here, I'm just going to smush that down on it. Or if I want perfect little embossed polka dots, I'm going to smush my little dauber on it, and it's perfect. Take my embossing powder. I have white here, but whatever color. And if you had your little wood veneers there, it would be covered with the white embossing powder. So these daubers are awesome for when you want to emboss different items or large area. If you wanted to emboss this whole panel, you could just swipe this around it or squish your Versamark pad. So now, the last thing I want to do is I'm going to clear emboss a background stamp and then show you some fun techniques with it. And then I think that's going to be it for this video. So I'm going to do it on some white cardstock and use this Hero Arts Arrow background stamp. And I'm just going to press that into place there. First I want to prep my paper. I'm just going to use my bag. Although it's not too bad when you're using clear. You don't have to go crazy prepping it. And I want to just make sure I didn't bring out a big block or anything, so I'm just going to let it sit there. You just want to make sure you cover your whole stamp really well. Okay. And then we're just going to lay the paper on, and I'm not being perfect here. Sorry, I have a stray embossing powder on my fingers. I'm going to smooth it over. Okay, you're going to lift up, and you're not going to be able to see anything yet. We're going to take our clear embossing powder and I just tend to do this and let it fall down so I can see a little bit better of where I'm at. Oop, I got some out of the bowl. That's okay. It happens. Got a little more on this corner. You guys really can't see anything yet anyway. I'll try and show you. There. And I am going to flick off any extra and get that embossing powder out of my way. And now I'm going to heat this up and show you some fun techniques with it. So let's get this out again. And for the clear on white, you just want to wait until you see it go shiny, which you're probably not going to be able to see on camera. It's almost like it disappears a bit. But in person, you can see it. Shoot it on the back. My favorite things to emboss are sentiments and backgrounds. So I'm just going to let that cool a minute and get out the things I'm going to use. So I'm going to show you techniques with distress inks, watercolors, and gelatos. And I'm going to show these really quick. Let me just cool that really fast because it's pretty hot. So I'm just going to do it in sections so that I don't have to keep restamping. So if you have a clear embossed background, you can use distress inks. And this color might be a little light to show you with. So let me switch colors to a brighter color. I'm like rushing now because I know this video is getting long. Ah! So with distress inks, you can just go over it like so. Make a pretty look, mix colors. And you're going to see it like this, and then you can take a wet baby wipe, which is going to actually help it blend better. And I'm using a dirty wet baby wipe, so you're going to see some black on there that I just got on there. So use a clean baby wipe. And it helps it blend because it interacts with water. And then it shows right through. And then you could also, let me show the next thing. And also you could use the Versamark ink, not emboss it, and use your Perfect Pearls powder. So next thing I'll show you is we'll do gelatos. So two things you could do with gelatos is you could just rub it on a little like that. Use your fingers to blend it out. Like so. And then again, let me get a clean baby wipe. Again, clean it off like that, or use a water brush with it. And gelatos work great with a little bit of water, like watercolor. Like so. And I'm going to actually point you guys down a little more. I know, I'm thinking of that at the end of the video, right? And then the last thing I'll show you is just some plain watercolor paint. Maybe even if I have an extra minute, some distress paints. Distress markers, rather. So let me just get a nice fun color here. And paint that on. I mean, when you clear emboss like this, a background or whatever image, you can do so many fun things with it. So there's that one. And then I'll show you really quick once I clean my brush off here. I'll use a distress marker real quick. How about we use peacock feathers? And I'm just gonna rub it on and kind of go for an ombre, a darker to lighter. Unless it doesn't want to blend for me, then I'll just wipe my brush off. Let's see how well that blends. Some of these work better when you go marker to paintbrush. And this isn't watercolor paper, so yeah. So you can use a bunch of different techniques. So this video is very long. I'm going to end it here. I hope I gave you guys some of the info you were looking for. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I know my videos like these are sometimes all over the place. I just try and think of as much info as I can to give you. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I was going to show you guys the different embossing powders. I'll show you real quick. Let's run. So, right here I have one of these little guys. And I recently moved my embossing powders. Let me move this back. And this one here, I have just some Zing and Recollections and Stampendous and Wow. All different colors, reds, pinks, yellows, greens, orange, blue, purple, silver, gold. And then in this one, I have the Inka Dinka Doos. I have my Lindy Stamp Gang ones, my Ranger Distress ones, my scented ones, my the shabby ones, the shabby chic ones. They're really cool. And just specialty ones like that. So those are my different embossing powders. I love embossing. I love it. So fun. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Bye.